Good evening and welcome to Undoing I Do with Stephanie and a Day. My name is Stephanie Hunnell, the owner of the Hunnell Law Group in Asbury Park, New Jersey, and your co-host for this evening.
And my name is Adela Sherilyn Dow, the owner of the law offices of Adela Sherilyn Dow in Staten Island, New York. How are you, Stephanie?
Good. How are you today?
I'm good. It's been so long since I've seen you.
We have to get together in person for sure.
I know. Like COVID is over, so no comment on that.
I know. I still feel I'm still working at home, so
I don't really mind that. I was out today because we're doing in-person court and all the things. So I was on trial this week in person, and I went to a retirement party today.
Oh,
I was talking and mingling with the people. Felt good.
Yeah, I had my first in-person court last Thursday, in-person domestic violence trial, and it was I forgot what it was like, but you get over that real quick. It's the same.
It's actually nice to see everybody. You haven't seen in 2 years.
Yep.
But you know who is not? The people who are not in court.
These $3.99 divorces.
The $3.99 divorce people. All right, listen. We have opinions, people. And we don't care what the $3.99 divorce people say about our opinions, by the way.
Yep. By the way, so I did a little, I get online and have to do some Google searching every time.
Stephanie does all the research.
I found a $99 divorce site.
Girl, stop it.
You get I was going to say MSA, but you get a matrimonial settlement agreement, which outlines all of everything that supposedly you're getting divorced about.
Mm-hmm.
Alimony calculation, child support calculation, plus all of your papers that you're supposed to file with the court, all for $99.
Just go to them. Just go to them. Just do it that way.
I said to my assistant, I was like, perhaps we're doing this wrong. I should just do these $99 divorces and then just turn it around and resell it.
Right. Well, so here's the thing. Here's the thing, people. Everybody has seen these $3.99 billboards on the streets, right? We've all seen them. Divorce $3.99, no signature needed, and all of that stuff, right? First of all, most of these companies are not run by lawyers. Some of them are not even run by paralegals. A lot of the companies are run by people who are notaries and say that they have this experience in divorce law. And what actually has happened is that these people just go onto the court's website, print out some documents, right? Duplicate those documents in whatever kind of little system they have, plug and play your name, and off you go. Sometimes it's not going to be a bad thing, right? I mean, if you don't have any kids, if you don't have any property, if you just got married yesterday and you want a divorce in 6 months and you never live with the person, maybe. But generally, if you have kids and you have property and you have all the things and you have, alimony entitlements and stuff like that, this is not a good look.
Yeah, what I found really crazy was the website. It was the $99 one, and there was a $2.99 one that you could make installment payments for. And both of them had the ability to give you your alimony number. I get that you can maybe do child support because if you plug in incomes and maybe it'll spit out a number, maybe.
Yeah.
But the alimony, there is not a formula in New Jersey. So in New Jersey, they're offering to give you your alimony number. So you're now relying on a non-attorney program. I don't even know what goes into the assessment of the program that will tell you here's your alimony number.
Okay, so let's dig a little bit deeper into that. New York, you guys know that I come here repping for New York, right? New York has a specific alimony calculator, and we don't call it alimony, we call it spousal support or spousal maintenance or maintenance, whatever. But we have a specific calculator, and there's two different types of calculations that you do, and you choose and actually it's three, because if you have children you do one, and then if you don't have children you do another, and then those calculations get two different numbers, and you choose the lowest one of the two. So if in New York someone says to you, or a company says, oh, this is what your spousal support would be, and they do it consistent with the calculator, all right, probably right. But if somebody in New Jersey says, oh yeah, this is it, that's all the way wrong. And because there is no calculation.
Mhm.
And so, and even the rubric that we use in New Jersey cases, which used to be 1/3 difference, and now it's like 23 to 28% or something like that, because of the fact that you can no longer deduct alimony on your federal taxes. Even that's not right. And the appellate division, or maybe it's the Supreme Court, I can't remember the case, has told lawyers not to do that, and they do it anyway. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, there's 13 factors you're supposed to consider. Yep. And the court does consider when you're analyzing whether, first of all, whether alimony is appropriate. And then if it is appropriate, for how long, what type of alimony there is, because there's different types of alimony. And then also then how much alimony you're going to get. So all of these things you have to consider. But supposedly you can get all of that information in the last 10 minutes, which we have been talking about. You can have typed all that information in and you would have all your forms.
John Knocklinger, shout out to John. What's up? How you doing? We love John.
We do.
So
I love the snowflakes in the back of his picture. I'm just looking.
Oh,
we better change that to spring.
Let's change it to spring now. But it's so cute, though. I like it.
It is.
So John says that their opinions are wrong, and y'all's. This is where the Southern comes out in John. Y'all's opinions are right. Wait, yeah, that's true. Yeah, but does the court? So John says, does the court consider those factors? Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now. You just have judges out here saying, yeah, just give him, just give him. And most of the time they don't consider the factors when they're trying to help you settle. But when you have spent all of your thousands of dollars and you're headed to trial, they don't have a choice but to consider the factors, in New Jersey at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in New Jersey, I mean, look, they might copy and paste all of the factors into their decision, and then you might get one-liners on each of them. So how much they consider it, you don't know. But if you have the 399 divorce, I can guarantee you they're not going to be considered, because you're not going to have all of that information. Right. You're definitely not.
Yeah, there's so much, and all of this stuff is so fact specific. Mm-hmm. You know, the people who are behind the desk at the 399 divorce lawyer have no clue as to how, you know, what the situation with your children are. They're not going to ask you either. They don't know. Mm-hmm. They don't care. They're not going to ask you.
Nope.
They don't know how long you've been out of work, whether somebody had to take leave in order to care for a child, what they, you know, what the people's education levels are, what the agreements before the marriage were. They have no idea. And so basically when you roll up into these 399 divorces, you really have to assess whether this is what you should be doing, because here's the deal. Once you sign on the dotted line, you're going to have a big issue. Uh-huh. And then this is going to happen. How many post-judgment cases have you had to clean up from a 399 divorce? I have had at least 10 that I can recall. John, I can't even count them suckers.
Nope. Mm-mm. And I mean, this is not just now with COVID, because everything is online. This has been going on for years. And I remember the few that I had to clean up like decades ago, where the people come in and I'm like, this is that's your judgment? It like handwritten with these like literally fill in the blank.
Fill in the blank.
Copy that has been copied like 25,000 times. Like, remember when you're in elementary school and they had those copies and they look so blurry because they've been copied for
right. A decade. What was it called? The mimeograph or something?
Right.
Remember that? The crank, and it was everything was blue. Like all the colors were blue.
I think that just like that. And that's what they came into court with, or they came into my office with and said, but this is what we signed. It's just so
Yeah.
frustrating. But you
And
said
they're
something.
not lawyers, so they can't give you legal advice. Some of them play
No.
lawyers out. They want to play lawyers on TV, but they can't give you legal advice. And generally, you can, and you're not going to be able to sue them for malpractice because they're not lawyers.
Right.
So, what exactly are you doing?
So you
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, I was saying you said one thing that was really, I wanted like just hone in on it a little bit, because you talked about people are not going to know about other people's education or experience or anything. That's just one thing that we have to consider as lawyers when we're determining the appropriate amount of support and the appropriate amount of income to be imputed to that person. Or,
Right.
because there's situations where somebody might have a lot of education and they're underemployed working, making $20,000 a year. Well, we can increase that amount of money and then in a sense lower your amount of alimony if you're representing the payer spouse. But if you're just plugging those numbers in at face value without making those assessments and without having an attorney assess, you're left with a bad agreement from the beginning. And like you said, the companies don't care. Whatever numbers you push in, you miss a zero and you never catch it and you sign your divorce judgment.
Tough. Sucks for you. And this is the thing. So you can't come back later and be like, "Oh, my bad, I made a mistake." Yeah, that's not gonna work. Most likely that's not gonna work unless you are going to be able to prove that you were somehow coerced into signing this, that you signed under some kind of duress, that you signed as a result of fraud. Unless you can prove those things, and they are at a very high burden of proof, you're not going to prevail. And a court is going to say, okay, well, you were free to make a bad decision, and that's what you
That's what you did.
Listen, John, this is, what John said, tough tea. Oh, let me caress the girls.
We were talking about elementary school, so.
But yeah,
We
it
say that
basically
all
is
the
tough.
time.
Sucks for you,
Yeah.
right? And it's true. I mean, I'm in a case right now where, because this is what happens. Everybody wants to do stuff on the cheap. And look, Stephanie knows I like a bargain. I do not buy one thing, no one piece of clothing or one piece of jewelry. I could tell I like the jewelry. I'm over here stacking today. I don't buy one piece of clothing or one piece of jewelry that's not on sale. But where I do not screw around is when it comes to having people represent me. I will pay them. And if I think that their fee is too little, I will pay them more because it needs to be done properly. You want your taxes done properly. You want your divorces done properly. You want all the major things in your life done properly, right? You're not gonna hire somebody who fills tire air to do your roof. You're gonna be like, dude, you're over here with the tires, right? The car. This is the car. I'm not bringing homeboy over to my house to do my roof. So you just really have to think about this. And like I said, you are going to end up spending so much more money fixing this than you would have had you just paid somebody a 3,000, 5,000, 7,000, whatever the retainer is for this person to do your divorce properly. Thank you, John. Mr. Bling. Thanks.
The bling. I do love the stack necklaces, by the way.
Thank you. They're both evil eyes because I was dealing with craziness. Hey, Nicole. What's up?
Hi.
Long time. I was dealing with evil people on the other side of my case today. I had to come with the evil eye.
That's why this is supposed to help ward against that. So
yeah, I'm a little afraid of tattoos, so we're gonna have to figure out how I can make that work. What does that mean? Is that like Sanskrit? What is that? What does that mean?
It's a Kabbalah. It's a Kabbalah thing. Yeah, it's one of the 72 names of God that's supposed to help cleanse the environment around you from.
Okay, I need some cleansing.
From this kind of work, we need some cleansing.
We need cleansing. Everybody needs to be cleansed. And you know, I'm down with cleansing the energy.
Yes, so, we need to.
John asked a question and he said, "What retainers do you guys charge people?" All right, so it depends. I know that's a lawyer's answer. But when your case is completely uncontested and you don't have any real drama, depending upon what people's assets are and what has to be done in terms of agreements, my office is going to charge anywhere between $2,500 and $5,000 for an uncontested divorce. It just depends upon what the situations are. I don't think that there's a lot of attorneys who charge less than $2,500. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty similar. If somebody's coming into my office and they have a checklist of here's all the issues that we've resolved, we really just looking for an agreement and getting documents drafted, that's going to be a completely separate price than somebody that comes in and says, I have an uncontested, we agree on most things, but we don't agree on, these few things, because there is some negotiation that still has to happen.
Right.
And it's a similar range. Mine is 3,000 to 5,000 for like
And I'll tell you that, in the state of New York, you have so many more documents to fill out, and there's so many more places in the state of New York, even for uncontested, for people to get confused and for things to go awry. When we file our judgments of divorce in New Jersey, okay, you filed a judgment of divorce. So that's it. You go home, you get your stamp. They charge you too much money for a little seal that you could have. Stephanie, big up to Stephanie, who provided the seal to the court. And I don't know whether you provided to them so that they wouldn't charge you, but to crip it, they still charged you $25, which is ridiculous.
Yes, $25 for that stamp that I bought. Really, but I needed the stamp, and they said they don't do that anymore. I'm like,
who doesn't? What?
You get anyway, Social Security that here's this paper one that with no gold seal,
right? With nothing on it, with nothing that somebody probably copied in their back office of their house. But yeah, when you file in New York, there's so many additional documents. It's the findings of fact, conclusions of law. It's all kinds of certifications that you have to, say that you read this and you read that, and the SCU certification and this certification and the certificate of dissolution. And people get confused. So it's probably best to not rock with the $399 people. I have seen some instances where people were given documents that don't even apply to them. They're doing these $399, $199, $1.99 divorces, and they're given documents that do not even apply to their situation. You might be waiving things that you didn't know you had an entitlement to. You may be creating obligations that you didn't know you didn't need to create.
From what I read with the sites, and I haven't gone in and bought the service to see what you actually get, but from what it sounds like, you're plugging in information and they're giving you all the forms. They're not telling you what forms you need or don't need. So right. I could totally imagine that there's forms in there that you're not sure about, but you're like, oh, it's in here, so I'm just going to submit it to the court. In New Jersey, it's probably less of a risk, but like you're saying in New York, there's a lot of things that you can really screw up if you submit the wrong forms.
Yeah.
New Jersey, it's the complaint. It's that piece of it at least is pretty straightforward.
Yeah. And it's listen, in New York, especially since COVID, I know in Staten Island, there have been several clerks who have retired. And the clerks don't even have a supervisor right now. The matrimony clerks don't even have a supervisor right now. So it is taking months upon months upon months for people to get divorced. We need to provide transcripts, so on and so forth, if we have an allocution on the record. So it is taking months. People are putting in their divorce documents. I put in divorce documents in April of last year, and I didn't get them back until December.
Oh, wow.
That's crazy. So, and once we had a gentleman call this week, I think a couple days ago, and he said, oh, I went and did the divorce myself, and I've been waiting for 7-8 months, and I don't know what to do, and what should I draft, and what should I do? And I said, we had to say to him, we're so sorry, we can't give you legal advice because we're not your lawyers, and you have an active case, and we didn't have anything to do with the active case. But he never looked at what he submitted and what he agreed upon. And that's a problem because people are assuming that what they're provided is right.
How many times, even not just with the divorces, but like in post-judgment stuff where you file something afterwards to enforce an agreement or modify an agreement, that the pro se person doesn't even realize they have to save a copy because the court's not going to give them their copy back. So,
Yeah.
you don't even know what you submitted to the court. You can't recall.
Yeah.
And then you're supposed to make these arguments and serve the other side, by the way. You don't just submit it to the court and it magically gets to the other person. You have to
Yeah.
send it to the other side too.
Yeah. I mean, my bottom line advice is not necessarily not to use any of these services because, I mean, there's people who can't afford to hire, firms to do
Mhm.
their divorces. But it's definitely a big beware, caution, flashlights, neon lights. There are some attorneys who actually do offer low cost divorce document generation services. And a lot of the attorney driven companies are reputable and can guide you properly, or at least give you documents that have been drafted by an attorney. But that needs to be one of your questions. Hey, is there an attorney in charge here?
Mhm.
Most likely not for $3.99, but is there an attorney in charge here?
Right.
Is an attorney reviewing my documents? Most likely the answer is going to be no.
Right.
And if that's the case and you're still going to use this company, you better make sure that once you get your documents, go pay $200, $300 to sit with an attorney during a consultation. They may not look at every single thing. Most likely, it's probably not going to be that hard for them to do so, though, if it's a paralegal drafted document or a travel agent drafted document. But at least you'll get your knowledge as to what your rights are, whether what you're signing should be signed.
Yeah. I mean, that was gonna be my suggestion is
Yeah,
if you're going to use this, and truly some people may be able to because, like you said, they've been married for a short period of time, they don't have any children, no businesses, they're not, intending to get any alimony, child support, but go and have a consultation with an attorney to know what your rights are. I know some attorneys may not review documents for you because they didn't draft them and they don't wanna have the liability of saying, now I have to rewrite your entire document. It's going to be less expensive for me to just rewrite it than it is for me to point out everything that's wrong with it.
right,
Um, but then in that case, and I have had that happen before where I'm like, no, no, we're not using this. If you want to retain me, I can do it. We can, I'm not going to cobble something together. I'm going to use my own forms and get it
right,
done correctly for you. But
absolutely.
yeah, I mean, spend that money, what, between 200 and $500 for a strategy session or a consultation. If you really can't afford an attorney, that's one
Hmm.
option.
Let me tell you guys, you will be so thankful that you did if something in the document is wrong.
Yeah.
Look, just today I had an attorney give me a document on a case where I just came into the case, and the prior attorney was getting ready to have my client agree to waive pension. There's a house in the case. There's a separate property house, but my client would have had the ability to get one half of the principal balance on the loan that was paid during the marriage, right? Tens of thousands of dollars this person was getting ready to waive. Think very deep, assess the situation very well before you hire lawyers, even, but
Yes.
certainly before you engage in this 299, 399 stuff.
Especially, by the way, also let's not forget that when you're getting divorced from somebody, they're not always the most trustworthy with relaying information to you, and they may provide you with information about what assets exist, and that may not be the case at all, which we have a means to obtain.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Go back and look at our discovery videos. That's what we're talking
Yeah.
about.
Mhm.
Yeah. And there's a lot of, I mean, look, I was dealing with an attorney today, and the attorney was trying to convince me that the client made $10,000 driving Uber, right? Meanwhile, I know how to read a tax return. So see, this is where lawyers come in handy, because the attorney's client was actually grossing $60,000 a year doing Uber and wanted to deduct all of his expense down to 10,000. Sir, how are you living on $10,000 a year? You're not. So let's stop. Let's stop. You
When
know,
your rent's like 15,000 a month, 1,500 a month.
1,500 a month. These are the things that these services will not catch for you.
Mhm.
So if you guys have any questions about this or anything else, hit us up in our inbox. Make sure that you like our page, right? Like our channel, because we're on YouTube. We're on the Instagram. We're on the Facebook.
We're also on Spotify.
Yes, we're also on Spotify. See, Stephanie's good with the podcast stuff. So I'm gonna tell you right now. Yes, so we are on all of those things.
Yep.
Make sure that you like us and share us with your friends. If you know somebody who's talking about, oh, girl, I'm just gonna go get my $3.99 divorce and I'll be done, please tell them to watch this video. Please tell them to
And
watch
then
this
watch some
video.
of our other videos because there's a lot of information that we give. So that way, if you can't afford an attorney, at least you have some background information and you know what to look for when you're doing these things. And
Exactly. Exactly. Thanks for watching. Have a great evening.
good
Bye.
night.
Good night.